going on, everybody? Drew Sanford here today, and we have got Bass and Bob in the studio. So, Bob, thank you for coming. I appreciate
Thanks for having me, Drew.
We, a lot of our guests and stuff that we have on the show are national pro fishing. You know, they fish either MLF Tour, Bass Elite, you name it. And I don't think you fish those right now, do you?
No.
In the future? Are we going to see you in a classic coming up?
No. I fish some BFLs and fish some, I'll call it local, regional tournaments, but that's not. I'm not good like you guys.
I hear you.
But I watch you guys, and you are good.
Yeah. What's really cool, Bob, and a lot of our viewers aren't necessarily from the Midwest area, but what we're going to talk about today may pertain to them in a way that's really cool. And today might be more of like a business side of the fishing industry, more so than a than maybe technique specific stuff like that. We'll probably pester you about how you like catching fish at Lake of the Ozarks in the summertime. But if you don't know who Bass and Bob is, it's bassandbob.com. And if you go to a lake, why don't you tell me? Tell me what Bass and Bob is for somebody that doesn't know.
So bassandbob.com is actually it's a website that is specific to fishing at Lake of the Ozarks. I'd say 80% of it is oriented towards bass fishing. 20% is crappie and catfish. And the website is it's basically an informational source for anything fishing, in particular bass on Lake of the Ozarks. Mm-hmm. So I fish nearly every day. I fish about 300 plus days a year. Sometimes it's only for 2 or 3 hours a day.
Yep.
And I put my daily fishing reports on the website. And as you pointed out, very kindly, I guess, that I'm not a pro fisherman. So I'm a good representative of the average fisherman.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I want it.
How many people, I mean, like Marcus Sikora, Dennis Burhorst,
right,
Roger Fitzpatrick. I mean, a lot of these guys, they do, I mean, who else? Yeah. There's guides on the lake. So, I mean, it's not just you.
No. So over the course of time, when I first started this business, I used to own software companies in St. Louis. My business partner and I, we built them and we sold them. The last company we built and we sold, it became a global company. We had a couple hundred employees. We were acquired by a company named Fujitsu out of Japan, and I had enough of doing that.
How many employees did you employ at the most? What was your most employees?
It was about 225.
What was normal over the years?
Over the years, I mean, it was a growth mode thing.
Yeah.
Pretty much like what you're doing with Boatworks and Baitworks.
Yep.
It was a growth mode thing, starting from me and my business partner to executing effectively, working hard, having high energy like you do, and just building it over time and hiring employees, as we came along, kind of like what you've done here, and we talked about earlier. Hired some, you hire some seasoned talent.
Yep.
And then you bring along some rookies, and they learn from the seasoned talent.
Yep.
So on and so forth.
Yeah. So let me dive into that a little bit. What did you do? What was the previous career? Like what did you do when you were developing software, stuff like that? What was it?
The business was what the business actually was at the time was referred to as document imaging and document management software.
Yep.
For back in the day, before, when we had lots of stacks of paper.
We had paper. We were joking before this that I don't have a computer and I don't look techie. I've got a piece of paper with notes written down.
A bank loan file. A bank loan file still looks like that.
Yeah.
A hospital medical record.
Yep.
Big stacks.
So a lot of stuff like that.
Papers.
Like we take imaging pictures. You just take a picture, you auto scan it now on your phone.
Basically, it was high speed scanners, back room, mail room operation type stuff.
Yep.
Back room scanners. Route it through business processes.
Yep.
Whether it's accounts payable or medical records, or bank lending processes, and routed those documents through business processes. Yep. And then integrated the paper documents, if you will, with the line of business system. So things like Oracle Financials and SAP and Meditech and some of that. So that was the business. So it was automating business processes that were centered around documents.
Now, you told me, I don't want to speak out of school, but you were like the number one supplier for Microsoft.
So it was kind of exactly like you do, and this is, kind of my nature.
Yeah.
Is that we started this small company, and I always knew that I needed to have bigger relationships. Mm-hmm. And so there was a company I always call it, we're like the small fish feeding off the big shark. So we did do some work with IBM at one time. Yep. but we really locked into Microsoft. Took a lot of time and a lot of days going to Microsoft Redmond campus, trying to build relationships as high up in the food chain at Microsoft that I can, articulating to them how when I sell my software on top of one of their platforms called SharePoint, that is going to drive licensing revenue for them and help them compete against Google. So those were my benefits to them.
Yeah.
But I wanted access to some of their customers.
Yep.
Or I wanted them to know that I can help their customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so over the course of time, I ended up bringing big projects into places like Walmart, Target, the CIA, some of the big car dealerships or car manufacturers, so on and so forth. So, but it was from building those relationships.
Yeah.
So once I had those relationships, and we were credible.
Is it any different from that business to Bass and Bob and growing that and Fishing Intel and Baitworks and Boatworks and I mean and to me, successful people do successful things, and to me I always joke and say it's a math equation, right? Like A plus B equals C, right? So it's like if it works at that level with selling things to Microsoft, which I couldn't even imagine how you start the first step of that process, right? You know what I mean? But what's the difference from that to getting a sponsor with fishing? You know what I mean? Like it's real similar. You show them what you can do, how it's going to benefit them. So it's really cool. And that was kind of what today's show was. Like, this is not a normal fishing podcast from a standpoint of, all right, well, you're going to go throw a spook and you're going to go look for a riprap wall and you're going to work it down the bank. But it still applies. Yeah.
Oh, it does. I mean, it's a business conversation. Yep. The entire fishing industry is a $56 billion industry, Drew. $56 billion. It's crazy. It would be ranked number 50, I think, on the Fortune 500 if the industry itself was a corporation. $50 billion industry.
So pause. So for the high school anglers and the college anglers that are out there listening to this today, of course you want to be Jacob Wheeler or Kevin Van Dam or Gerald, we want to be that, right? But on the same token, like what I learned, when I started college fishing, we started the Drury Bass fishing team way back in the day, and then I transferred to University of Alabama. Well, I wanted to be a pro fisherman, but as I got into it and I got to see it in the back end, look at the media production, then look at the sales rep jobs, look at the tackle jobs, look at the manufacturing jobs, look at and when you start adding it up, it's such a cool thing. And like, I think I kind of giggle because at the time, like the teacher's like, you're going to go fish a tournament. Like you're going to skip school to go fish tournaments, and they're letting you do it. Like, I know the teachers are like, what the heck are you doing? But on the same token, though, the relationships you build, the reps that you meet, the people that you're there with, the owners of boat companies and tackle companies and boat dealerships, and you name it, they show up to these events to watch these kids fish and perform because it's exciting, right? Like, we want to look like these young people that are here filming us that are on the bass fishing team or young a part of it doing stuff with that. And, like we still want to carry on that. So I think that there's a lot of drive to that. And I think that the young people, don't sell yourself short on what the industry really is, because the industry is huge, but it's also very small.
Yeah, it is.
It's huge, but small.
And it's about, it is just like business. In fishing, you talk about the college or high school kids or the professional anglers.
Absolutely.
I always like to, in my businesses, I build what I call an ecosystem of relationships, where I'm at the center of the hub. I've done this with Bass and Bob. I did it with my previous software company. I'm doing it with Fish Intel. And for the anglers, whether you're a professional angler, high school angler, amateur angler, you build your relationships. You're at the center, and just be credible. Deliver on what what do they say? Under promise and over deliver.
There it is.
Right?
There it is.
That type of thing. And really help other people, kind of universal, help other people get what they want, and you're going to get what you want. But build those relationships. And so from that perspective, it is a small industry. And because of that, your credibility is so very important. Your character is so important. I mean, there's a lot of anglers, I'm sure, anglers that are listening to this. There's a whole bunch of anglers that they really like, and then there's one or two that you just feel like, man, that guy's a bad apple. For whatever reason, it happens. You don't want to be one of those guys.
That's right.
It's too small of an industry.
And successful people flock together, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things that, like, when you say it's a small industry, it's because once you figure out the equation, once you figure out the secret sauce, the way to do it, the hub, what I mean? The what did you call it?
I just call it the ecosystem.
The ecosystem. I like that. That's a new one to me. I like that. Once you figure out that system, it doesn't matter if it's bass fishing, tuna fishing,
Right.
building software, owning propane companies, manufacturing propane delivery trucks.
You got it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the business is. And that's something that I've seen. And by no means am I an expert and am I perfect and am I the greatest thing in the world. No, that is not it. But I've been blessed to be around successful people and watch them do it. And it's a lot of work, but it's not hard.
But absolutely. For anglers, it's always good to build that ecosystem of people.
Because you can apply that even to like relationships of people from different lakes.
Exactly.
If you build a good ecosystem, you can help bounce ideas. I'm going to St. Lawrence River next month, but I got a buddy that comes down here and fishes the Toyota series, or whatever it is.
Right, yeah. You
You build an ecosystem. I think that success grows from there too.
And then when we talk about bassandbob.com, so it's this website central to Lake of the Ozarks, but I built an ecosystem around it because I knew I'm an average fisherman. I just knew that at Lake of the Ozarks, and this is happening around the country, and I'll talk about fishing tackle in a minute, is that there's a void of information, specific information in specific lakes. I'm not talking about spots. I'm not talking about secret baits. I'm talking about day in, day out fishing reports.
Yep.
So my ecosystem includes pros. I know I don't have all the credibility of fishing on Lake of the Ozarks. In fact, when I first showed up at Lake of the Ozarks, people were like, who's this guy from St. Louis? He's on software companies that's going to start a website on bass fishing at Lake of the Ozarks, Well, guess what? That's all just fine. I just went and killed them with kindness and was credible and was honest. And
do what you say you're going to do.
I'd have the pros like Marcus Sikora and Dion Hebden, Casey Scanlon. I have I built relationships with the local community leaders. So we talk about tournaments and things coming to Lake of the Ozarks. Well, when tournaments come to Lake of the Ozarks or any lake, you've been around and fishing these a lot, you'll always see sponsored by some county government or sponsored by someone. Well, guess what? They paid money for FLW or Bass or somebody to actually come to their lake because it's a great income source for the local community.
You buy gas, they get tax dollars,
food,
goes back around. And all it's an ecosystem.
It's an
ecosystem. A plus B equals C.
It's economic stuff, and so I build relationships with the local chamber of commerce and the local government folks. And then I build a relationship with FLW, the small fish swimming with the big fish, and build a relationship with them. And guess what? FLW they want to come to Lake of the Ozarks.
Absolutely.
And they want Lake of the Ozarks commerce, Chamber of Commerce money to come there. And the Chamber of Commerce wants the business, so it's kind of like more of a matchmaker type of thing to help, try and get those kind of
We're
things.
We're going to have fishermanonly.com that started here on Bass Fishing Underground live.
Yeah, well, this is the way it's done for a lot of you anglers that, you watch these, you watch Major League Fishing, you watch FLW or, that type of thing, or you go follow them on their website, these big tournaments. There's money behind that that's been fronted by the local community to actually have that event at that lake.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people are like, man, I don't know why they don't come to my lake. We have such a great lake. Well, you're going to have to find somebody to pony up some dough. And once you do that, they're going to come back over and over and over.
The positive and negative on that. Sometimes they go to lakes, and I'm not trying to be mean, but the Sabine River.
Right.
Who wants to go into the Sabine River and really catch 8 pounds a day? Now, is it a fun event and it's tidal and there's a lot of cool stuff about it? Absolutely. And is it Orange Tech? They've decided it's worth it to do that, to get people down there and do that. And, I think that's great. But that's kind of why you see some of these oddball events and stuff that go on from that. But, if you're watching this and you want a lake on, a big tournament at your lake, go talk to the CVB, go talk to the Chamber of Commerce.
Do some work, that type of thing. But, so also within that ecosystem, talking about Bass and Bob. So on bassandbob.com, I have 18,000 members. I started this in the middle of 2013. Wow. So I have 18,000 members. It's a pay-for website. So there's a pay-for portion and there's a free portion. And so there's two on this particular business.
He would put me under the free portion. And if you really don't not mess up, then go to this side.
Yeah. Well, check it out. But anyway, so there, from the business side of it, there's two aspects to this video. There's two aspects to the business. One is revenue from the members. So the members pay, and I give them quality product. We do lots of videos, pro tips. I mean, just all that type of stuff, and then daily, weekly, monthly fishing reports and tournament results, everything that an angler would need, maps, all that kind of stuff. And that drives traffic to the website. We get about 100,000 hits on the website every month, and that drives analytics, which drives to the second area of revenue. So the second area of revenue then is advertisers that want to advertise on the website, because we're getting that many hits and we're exposing, their products or their goods or their resort or their restaurant to, these 18,000 anglers. Anyway, so that's what bassandbob.com is all about. And so I had interest. So there's some best practices I do along with that. You have to build relationships in that ecosystem. Anglers is a pretty important part of that ecosystem, right?
You need to be liked.
I make sure I expose myself or make myself as aware as possible to anglers. I want to be visible. So what I started doing early on is at the tournaments, I would set up a little tent with a table, and I'd give away free coffee and donuts with a brochure.
Well, I remember, I was in Alabama. I think I graduated in 2011 from Alabama. I think 2014 I moved back to Missouri to start a propane company. And a BFL Lake of the Ozarks 2-day in the fall. Right. I met at that event at the motel. I met one of my best friends that we're still close as we can be at that event. And then that was the first time I really ever met you guys and saw that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I was living in Alabama, right? Like you think the Mecca of fishing, you kind of think of like East Texas and Alabama and things like that. And it's like, I get back there and it's like, oh my gosh, there's people that are really caring and, and have a passion for it and do things like that. That's the first time I was exposed to you was that. And it blew me away that somebody would take time out of their day. And then as I got to know you and I've learned your past and your history and, how you've got these events even to show up to these lakes and do this stuff, it's just, it's incredible. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible, thing. And it's fun to see. So sorry to keep going.
I appreciate that. So, I'd give away some coffee and donuts and then give away hot dogs and soft drinks at the weigh-ins. And, because these are customers that I want. I want them on the website. He's not a $45 per year customer or $60 per year customer. He's a recurring revenue customer. So he's a 10-year customer. And so a hot dog for $600, and because they put their credit card in and we have it auto renews. We have 99% renewal rate. So it's a business that works for everybody. It's a win-win. Awesome. And then So when I was doing some of these tournaments, and doing the coffee and donuts, I call it hospitality. Doing the hospitality is I'd have anglers come from around the country, and this really kind of started with some college anglers that came from the University of Kentucky. I think it was Kentucky or somewhere up there. What's that real good college team in Kentucky? There's
Bethel.
And they said, you know what? We found your website looking online, and we loved it. And we loved it so much that, we're permanent members. I'm going to stay on that because everything you guys do at Lake of the Ozarks, I can apply in varying ways to
the lakes
that
are
similar.
Absolutely.
So we wish we had something like this for our lake. So the entrepreneurial side of me said, there might be a business opportunity here. So I did some work to my software, to my platform, my bassandbob.com, to make it an open source platform based on a platform called WordPress, which none of you really care about. But and then wrapped a business plan around that to be able to license that software platform, bassandbob.com, to individuals or entities at other lakes around the country that want to execute the same business plan as bassandbob.com, getting subscribers and members and getting advertisers. And so I packaged that up. I wrapped some, marketing around it. The brand is called Fish Intel. And so at this point, this all started just about a year and a half. I haven't accelerated quite as fast as Drew has. I did a walkthrough at Boatworks and Baitworks. Well, there wasn't even a Baitworks; it was a name at that time. About a year plus ago, and Drew just walked me around today, and it's like, oh my God, the acceleration of this business with Boatworks and Baitworks is insane.
Yep.
What a great job. So I haven't accelerated quite that fast, but I'm doing it.
It's because of these people.
I'm doing one of it, pretty much on my own, you know. But I have 4 or 5 employees.
Yep.
But so I packaged it up. I had a good buddy at Table Rock Lake, Eric Prey.
Yep.
And Eric had actually approached me like a year earlier, said, I'd like to do something similar here. So kind of everything kind of lined up. And so Eric licensed the software platform. We got him trained. He was an early adopter. He helped me with a lot of, good ideas too that anglers would like, and also business metrics to review on the back end. So he has Table Rock Fishing Intel up and running. He's been up for over a year. He was profitable in the first 60 days. Then we got another kind of regional lake, Truman Lake, here in mid-Missouri. So there's a guy that's doing Truman Lake Fishing Intel. He was profitable in the first 90 days.
Yep.
Then we got Grand Lake Fishing Intel. They can name it whatever they want.
Yeah.
Now they don't have to name it Fish Intel, but as I get critical mass around the country, in my ecosystem will become bigger brands, national brands that will want to advertise and promote their products on everybody's website. I'm not quite there yet.
You're getting close.
Getting close. So we got Grand Lake up and running. They've all been profitable very quickly.
Yeah. So to me, like, you have a lake. So let's say Guntersville. Is Guntersville available?
Guntersville's available right now, but I'm kind of attacking the market in a non-massive way. I'm doing it kind of state by state.
Yep.
We're in Alabama now.
Let's just use Guntersville as an example. Yeah. So if you're watching and you live on Guntersville,
right,
and you're a guide or you're somebody that lives down there and you have a passion for it, you literally can buy the license. It's already got all the platform. You don't have to be a web designer.
Yep.
You don't have to do none of that.
Nope.
It's all there.
All done. All the back end, all the servers, everything's all taken care of.
Everything's taken care of. So all you got to do is literally go in and plug content in.
That's it.
And then you go talk to people. You get advertising dollars.
Right.
And
go build your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And it's an affordable thing. I've made it so I'll just share with you. So for a small lake under 25,000 acres, it's $5,000.
Yep.
For a larger lake, it's only $7,500. It's like enough money that you have to decide you want to do it as a business or a side business.
Yeah.
But it's not over the top money. It's like, oh, I can't afford that. Yep. And it makes it easier for us to actually show them that they can achieve ROI in a short period of time. Yep. They're gonna. It's a win-win for the anglers as well as for you as a business. It's a win-win for the pros because pro staff, as you know, for some of these bait companies and rod companies, those companies that they're providing product to, they want them to promote the products and do Facebook and do social media.
Absolutely.
Well, guess what? A lot of those guys, a lot of guys don't do the Facebook thing. They don't have the platforms to do videos and things like this. So they're happy to work with us because it helps them with their sponsorships that they're doing, videos with us and interviews with us. I mean, I help them with their pro staff. So you build that ecosystem and you make money. And
what's great too, just from a business on a sidebar with that, the videos and the content, things like that. Do you do that for if I buy Guntersville? Do you help create videos and content for them?
Not really. I mean, we can. I mean, we basically expose all of our content that we have on our website. And if there's anything,
so they need to learn how to use some software, whether it's iMovie or whatever. It doesn't have to be complex, right? Like it's content's content. People are hunting for that type of stuff.
I know these guys would not agree with me on this, and I know you wouldn't either. So I do have a high-end video editor on my team that has years and years of experience. But we do very few of those. Most of my videos that I do, they're raw. They're what we're doing right here.
Well, Randy Blockett's one of our anglers, and I mean, he does a video on his phone, and he gets 4 billion likes, and we do 4 hours of editing, and it's like you get 4.
The anglers just want the content.
They want the content.
They don't care if it's an IBM commercial. It looks. I mean, yes, that's important. For a brand, especially like Boatworks and Baitworks, that's very important. For a brand like bassandbob.com or a Fish and Tell website that's sharing information that's going to help somebody fish, they don't care about all that.
So you really don't have, I mean, minus getting on YouTube and learning some basic editing skills,
absolutely,
or hiring a college fisherman that's into it, or somebody that's young that wants to do it. You really don't have to do too much.
No,
I mean,
create a brochure. I have a best practices manual that I'm creating right now. I'm almost done.
Well,
with it.
I think by all means you've done it right. You know what I mean? You started, you know, at the CVB level, and you've done that, but you've taken experience from a lot of other businesses. Even if you're a young person looking at this, or I mean, gosh, a college angler could look at this and be like, dude, I can make some money extra to pay for a boat and throw some money in Bitcoin.
Absolutely, and exactly, and you know, enter your career life in the fishing industry, which, like, as you mentioned earlier, that career life in fishing industry, whether it's a fishandtell.com type of website for their lake, but that's going to lead to other relationships in the industry with, you know.
And what I was kind of thinking when you were talking, you know, where I was going with the editing skill set, like when you were talking about pro staff, something I've realized with Baitworks, like we bring people in. At the old shop, we had a kind of a table like this, and we let people talk about it. But, you know, there are local and regional brands. And in Guntersville, Alabama, you've got XYZ local stuff.
Right.
You know, a whole other platform for tackle sales and things like that is those pro staff guys are going to want to come in and do that. You can use them for no charge to do bait videos and tackle how-to tips, stuff like that. And it does a double thing for them. One, they get to be on your website, on your platform, so they want to come do it. The second thing is you're providing them a service also to help promote their sponsors. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
Very much so.
And I mean, you know, the theory and the platform, how that is really good. And again, you don't have to have expert level video footage.
No.
It just needs to, you just got to get content out there. And
fishing reports are number one. So
how many reports do you do on your, like, is there 4 guys doing fishing reports, 10 guys?
So
what is it?
What happens on bassandbob.com is I'm pretty much the one doing the fishing reports, and I have a couple other guys. But at some of the other lakes, they've got fishing guides. I've got the guy that does Truman. He doesn't even own a boat. He's got 3 or 4 fishing guides that he helps promote their guiding business. And they provide him reports. And so, I mean, I was blown away when I talked to him earlier this week.
Well, most of the fishing guys, I mean, the good guys have their own YouTube channel. I mean, you look at like a Pete Winters and an Eric Prey. I mean, those guys are killing it on views on stuff like that. So it's like, if you can use their content and bring it in, you know what I mean? There are a lot of them are already doing it today. And if you can, you know, align with them, So
we're just about to bring online. In fact, they're actually going live this morning. Is Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn. And the guy who's licensed that is a guy named Tommy Martin. Many people may know Tommy Martin if you've been around the fishing industry.
Do you know who Tommy Martin is?
He's a legend. I don't know, 80-something years old maybe. And he is so fired up about doing Toledo Bend. He's a guide there. And then he's got a guy that he's working the business with, a young guy, 21 years old, that's helping him with content and helping him, you know, create a brochure. And the young guys also ate up with fishing, so they'll be doing fishing reports. So I mean, just all different walks of life. The guy who does Grand, he's a policeman in Tulsa. He also does guiding business. Well, now he's doing a whole lot less policeman. He's trying to not do as much policeman, and he's getting a lot more guide business, and he's making revenue.
At least you don't get shot. A bad day, a bad day here. Somebody told you no. A bad day there, you get shot.
And then we have. So he was a cop, and then we have a guy coming up on board in Georgia as well. He's coming on board, I think he'll be up and live in Georgia. It's Lake Sinclair. It's a small lake. It'd be Lake Sinclair and Lake Oconee. Then we have people interested at Pickwick and Guntersville. I only have one business development guy. We're kind of picking it off a state at a time right now because I wanted to make sure we uncovered any issues, problems with cloning the site, getting somebody up and running, having them make money. So we don't have a critical mass yet, but we have enough. Here's what's working well. Here's what we need to improve on. And
we'll
probably go a little bit more rapidly. So something like this really helps also. So if anybody's out there and has an appetite, go to www.fishintel.com, fish-intel.com.
We'll post a link. We'll post a link in the bottom of this. We could do that, right?
Call me anytime. Call me anytime. And have fun. It's fun. And this industry is a fun industry. It's an industry. It's work. I look at Boatworks and Baitworks. I see so much energy and effort going on here, and it's bass. I mean, it's a real business. I mean, it's a boat business. It's a bait business. It's everything else, making baits and everything else that Drew's got going, and it's fun, but it's a business too.
Yep.
And it's really enjoyable to be in an industry that you really enjoy, but also can apply some skill set and execute at a business level. It's a fun combination.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I think is cool about your story and what you've done is you've made it successful in your world. And I'm going to assume that you're probably good on retirement and you don't need to make money at fishing intel to survive and eat beanie weenies at night. But you're doing this out of love and out of care. And, starting with Eric and doing that and making sure he was successful and then going to the next one. It looks like you've put a lot of love and care into each. I'm going to call them team members with you.
They are.
Yeah,
they're my partners.
Yeah,
and
y'all are working
now
together.
We're learning from each other, and which is enhancing all of our businesses.
I mean, it's not just you making $5,000 or $7,500 and just trying to get as many of them and walk away.
No, right.
It's not that. It's you're trying to make every one of these people successful. And
absolutely.
I think it's just a cool. Today's thing was I wanted to bring you in sometime on the show and do something. I didn't know exactly what to apply, but like your story is a fun story and. I think a lot of times we overlook the business side and business is fun, right? I don't know how many businesses you've owned over the years, but multiple. Yeah. I've owned multiple.
7,
Yeah, I mean, we've done, you've done a lot, we've done a lot. And it's just one of those things that it's like, life's short, right? Yeah. You're going to blink and you're 80 years old, and it's one of those things that it's like, there's so much opportunity out there in the fishing industry. There's so much opportunity. There's people that want to help, this is not, I come from a propane background. Nobody's shooting flame balls at you trying to kill you. Like everybody's here to help, and if you're successful, and at the end of the day, we're helping the anglers, right? Like, I get a happy Camus Bass Cat Skeeter owner on the water, Avid Aluminum Express, low, they're fun. They're having fun. They're smiling. They're taking their kids fishing and they're growing. You're teaching them how to fish and catch fish that might not know how to do it. You're helping a college angler that's never been to Lake of the Ozarks learn where to throw a whopper plopper in the fall, right? You know what I mean? And it's just one of those deals that, for me, this is a labor of love, and I can see that passion on your face, and it's really fun to see. So it's neat.
I'm like you. I'm entrepreneurial.
Yep.
I retired when I was 54. I'm 63 years old now. But I wasn't.
I thought you were 36. I would have gone straight to 36.
Right, but I know I'm not done. And but like you said, it's a labor of love, type of thing. So it's a lot of fun. I appreciate you and your support too.
Oh man,
I respect tremendously everything you've done with Boatworks and Baitworks. I feel very fortunate to be a part of such an exclusive team, even though I'm not a pro angler. But guys like Marcus and guys like Eric Oliverson, many of your pro staff guys are. Man,
Algio was taking kids with disabilities fishing yesterday. Like. That's what this is about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I think when I first met you up there doing that type of stuff. Like, you don't need to be doing this. Right. This is something. Bringing donuts to guys at 5 a.m. I don't mean to be rude on a Saturday at Lake of the Ozarks, the funnest lake on earth. If you've never been to Lake of the Ozarks, just to go. It's. I mean, there's restaurants and bars on the water every point, and I mean, it's just a blast. It's a fun place to be, but it would be easy to do that lifestyle more so than getting up at 4:30 and making sure your tent's popped and donuts and coffee's fired up for the anglers. But I want to say thank you from my point of view to you and all you do. And if you're interested in this is something. I didn't bring him on. This is not an infomercial today,
right?
But to me,
it came across like that.
The point of this is the industry's big, and we've got a lot of young people that watch this, and I'm looking at our followers and our date, our history and what we're doing on this, and the demographics of it. It's young people, and how do you buy an $80,000 boat these days? Like, it's hard. You can't go work at McDonald's and buy an $80,000 boat. It's just not going to happen. Right. So how do we get there? And life is a ladder. We live in America. It's a ladder, right? And what value can you add is what you get paid, right?
Yeah, right.
So more value you can add and more stuff you can do. And to me, this is one of those things that the fishing industry is huge, and there's a lot of cool stuff that goes on with it. And
a lot of opportunity for young people.
Tons of it. I mean, it's unlimited.
If I was on the other side of this and I was doing a bass and bob thing with Drew Sanford for my website, one of the things, you're a pro angler. You travel to these
self-proclaimed.
You are. what are your thoughts about these young kids? And look at their opportunity they have. They're ate up with the graphs and maps.
Oh,
and it's almost not even about a special cool bait anymore.
It's not. There's no secrets.
Look at the growth of throwing a freaking drop shot.
How about the time
You know
frame?
what I'm talking about?
Yes, 100%. How about the time frame though? You could take somebody that knows nothing about fishing. We could take Kaylin back there right now. She knew nothing about fishing 6 months ago, and I guarantee you, she probably knows more in being around us in the last couple months than we used to learn. Waiting for the next Bass and Times to come out, waiting for the next Bassmaster TV and In Fisherman. You can go on YouTube. You can go on bassandbob.com. You can go to Fishing Intel. You can pay some. You can YouTube it. You can come to Baitworks' Facebook. But you can learn so much content so fast. So these kids that are in high school that are wanting to learn, or in college that are wanting to learn, you know, college is fun because now they get to go out and do it on their own, and they're driving the boat, they're making decisions, they're doing things like that. But the amount of knowledge you can gain so fast, it's so quick. I mean, I remember when my dad got his first cell phone. He had a Suburban and he had like that the in the truck phone, and it was like, oh my gosh, and you can talk to somebody anywhere. I mean, gosh, I've had 13 emails and 15 text messages. The information travels so fast now, and it's amazing what it does. And
these young, I mean, the evolution of the industry. I think I would encourage you sometime on a podcast is get one of these legends like a Bill Davenport or Stacy King and have them just talk about the evolution of graphs. They were using little beepers and they had probably aluminum boats. I mean, man, when the first Ranger fiberglass boat came out, I mean, it's like, wow, you know. Well, but the evolution of the technology, it'd be great to have a legend talk about all of that because it's been so interesting.
And the time frame, I mean, gosh, like you look at like the 50s, 60s, like the lures, you know, even the line and things like that. But like you want to talk about electronics, like I learned to throw a jigging spoon from Rick LaPointe at Table Rock. He's a guy down at Table Rock, one of the top guys at Table Rock. And he taught me how to read a flasher first. And then I think, I don't even remember the units that we had back then, but I remember like the boat that I had was like a LCX, maybe it was an LMS 330 or something like that. And then I bought an LCX 15, which was like the first big graph. I mowed yards and bought an LCX 15. And then I thought I was really high stepping when I got a LCX 17C, which was color, that had a GPS in it, because my first GPS was a handheld one, suction cup to the side of my boat. But I mean, this was in like the late 90s and early 2000s. Like that's not that long ago that we were there. And then today you could see freaking gills flare on a smallmouth and poof himself up and eat your bait. Like, what's next year look like?
Really, no kidding. Well, the evolution of the industry is great, and when I do a Bass and Bob podcast, I don't actually call it a podcast. We do a video or whatever, you know. But I want to interview you about what you're seeing out there in the industry as it relates to tournaments and this evolution and the young guys. And what do you do to feel like you to compete, to differentiate yourself? So so will you do that for me sometime?
Yeah, absolutely. You just tell me when. I'll be there. All right, Bob. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Drew.
Thanks for coming on. Everybody, we're doing all sorts of stuff. Check this out. Like it. If you like this content, please like it, share it, subscribe. We appreciate all of that. Give us feedback. We love hearing comments. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week.